What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about the NBA for the first time. I thought it'd be a good time to make a video on the NBA because the NBA Finals are starting today, and a lot of other crazy stuff is happening in the NBA. I will start uploading regularly again. I just went on vacation, so I'm probably going to be making like 3 videos on that later this week. Then I'll start posting Madden Mobile videos, and football videos from now on. And if you like the video, please leave a like. The first thing we're going to talk about is the regular season. In the Eastern Conference, probably the biggest surprises this year were the Knicks, the Hawks, and the Wizards making the playoffs. The Wizards didn't look good most of the year, and then they just blew up in the end of the year because they beat a bunch of bad teams. And Russell Westbrook is finally looking like the MVP form that he was like 4 years ago. And the Wizards had a pretty good comeback at the end of the year. And then obviously Trae Young leading the Hawks to the playoffs for the first time in about 5 years now. Trae Young is being a really good player and is looking like a superstar now with everything that he's done in the playoffs, leading the Hawks to the Eastern Conference Finals. And yeah, everything else was expected. The Celtics had a lot of injuries, went down a lot. The Raptors just suck this year because injuries, and they're bad now. The Nets have created a super team, which obviously means they're good. The Jazz are the 1 seed this year. Pretty surprising how they're not the 6 seed. And then the Suns, after being a lottery team for the past 10 years, have finally decided to be good by getting Chris Paul. Devin Booker's finally being recognized as good. And DeAndre Ayton has been fantastic as the first overall pick for the first time this year, even though it's like his 3rd season. But he's finally proved that he's worthy of the first overall pick. The Lakers have fallen because of injuries. Not very surprising that they're not going to be good if LeBron James is injured the whole time. The Mavericks, after a horrible start to the year, they bounced back, and Luka Doncic was able to lead them to 42 games. Could have probably been better if they hadn't lost so many games in the beginning of the year, but it's still good how they were able to bounce back. And then one of the most surprising things about the West was James Harden leaving the Rockets. Not really surprising that he left. It's just surprising how bad they became after he left. They started off the season 10-10, which was actually pretty decent, which meant they would have probably made it into the play-in game, but then they lost 20 straight games in a row and ended as the worst team. And the play-in tournament's been crazy this year, and that's why the next thing we're going to talk about is the NBA play-in tournament. I actually liked the play-in tournament a lot this year because it was just a new thing that was introduced that made the game more fun. And a lot of the games in the play-in tournament were close in the West. I think the one thing that they got to change is, for example, this year, the 7-seed Lakers had 10 more wins than the 10-seed Spurs. And it would just be weird having a team with 10 less wins that was probably like a lot worse being the playoffs. It would be very weird if in 15 years some guy saw that the Spurs that had 10 less wins were above the Lakers. And that would just suck for the Lakers also, because they were probably a lot better team and deserved to be in the playoffs more than the Spurs. So if the Spurs had won, I'm not saying it would be undeserving, it would just be unfair. So they need to make it more fair I think they need to make it more fair where they can only put like the 10 seed in if they're only like 4 or 5 games behind, not like a full 10 games behind. Next, we're going to talk about my 3 favorite series in this playoffs. My 3rd favorite series was the Clippers-Mavs series. It was a pretty entertaining, fast-paced series to watch. And Luka Doncic just lit it up against 2 of the best defenders in the league. He averaged 37, 10, and 9 while leading the Mavericks to a 3-2 series lead against a team that was able to go to 6 games without Kawhi Leonard in the Western Conference Finals after beating the 1 seed. That's how great Luka Doncic is. And he proved that he's one of the best players in the NBA, which he already proved, but now he proved that even more in the playoffs. And I think if the Mavericks put a better team around him, they're going to be contenders next year. And with the talks that Kawhi Leonard might go to the Mavericks, they're probably going to be like one of the best teams if that happens. So the Mavericks have a very bright future, and so does Luka Doncic. Next was the Suns-Clippers Western Conference Finals. The Clippers finally managed to show that they're not fully cursed, and they proved that they're a very legitimate team. And without Kawhi Leonard, They were able to go to 6 games with the Suns, who are probably the favorites right now to win the NBA Finals. And they did that all without Kawhi Leonard. If they had Kawhi Leonard, this whole series would be a whole different story. We could probably be seeing the Clippers in the NBA Finals right now instead of the Suns if Kawhi Leonard was there. But still a very entertaining series to watch, even without him. And of course, there was Game 2 where Pandemic P chokes. And then the Valley-Oop, which ended probably one of the craziest playoff games in the past few years, and one of the best in this playoffs itself. The series was very entertaining to watch, but it probably would have been a lot better if Kawhi Leonard was there. And now Chris Paul has his first chance to win an NBA Finals after 2,000 years of playing in the NBA. And my favorite series of this playoffs is possibly the craziest Game 7 ever. Probably not the craziest, but it was just such a good game. Easily the best game of the playoffs so far. This was once again a very entertaining series to watch. And if the Nets won the series, the finals could have been very different right now. Maybe Suns Nets right now, who knows? If a lot of things had changed, the NBA Finals would be so different right now. But the Nets are obviously favorites to win next year. They got screwed because Kyrie Irving got injured. James Harden was also pretty injured. But Kevin Durant was amazing. He solidified himself as one of the best players in the NBA right now, if not the best. With a 48-point Game 7, and if his foot was just a little tinier, they would have been in the NBA Finals right now for sure. With probably one of the craziest shots ever. The Game 7 is probably one of the craziest games ever. Not to mention his Game 5 performance, putting away what seemed like a very important game to the series, even though they ended up losing. He scored 49, 17, and 10, while leading the Nets to a very close win. His best playoff game ever, but that 49, 17, and 10 is probably not even the best game of the playoffs by a single player, because that belongs to a forgotten Damian Lillard Game 5. 55 points, while losing the game in double overtime, in a game that if they had won, they might have won the series before probably being beaten by the Suns, but still, that game was so important. And Damian Lillard put up 55 points just to lose in double overtime. He was just chucking everything and making it. Like, it's crazy how good of a shooter he is. Yes, we cannot forget about the Sixers-Hawks series. Ben Simmons is trash and he needs to be traded. That's all I can literally say. And Trae Young is cracked. And finally, my NBA Finals predictions. So in the finals this year, Chris Paul has finally made it to the finals after about 150 years of trying to make it there. And he desperately wants to win. But can he beat Giannis and Middleton? My predictions are that the Suns are going to win in 7 games. This is going to be a very close series. This will be a very fun series to watch and to predict what's going to happen because no one knows. Either Giannis could dominate, or the Suns could dominate like they have in this playoffs. But I think the Suns are going to take this series in 7 games. They're just a better overall team, slightly. I got the Suns in 7. Put in the comments what your predictions are. Yeah, and that will be the video for today. If you guys liked the video, please press the like button because you liked it, and why would you not press the like button? And if you like my content in general, please subscribe. And yeah, I will have more content coming out later, and peace out.